Breathe. Breathe.
Mama Gajaman.
Palagi Pia. Swami Purus.
Sri Lanka has a number of cinemas, but are these cinemas really doing well? You see a lot being said about the conditions as well about the cinemas, the technology that are being used these days. So let's talk about the cinema industry in Sri Lanka, and who better than Scope Cinemas. And with me on the program today is the head of marketing and PR at Scope Cinemas, Chassy Cortes.
Hi, Easwaran.
Hi, Chassy. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. So, Chassy, how is the industry doing? I mean, Scope has so many cinemas in Colombo and outside, of course. But how are y'all managing, especially with the economic crisis? Has that sort of, had a choke on you guys?
Yeah, well, right now, surprisingly, we're doing very well. Even we are surprised about it, despite the economic crisis that we faced. I mean, of course, at the onset, we really got affected by it. I mean, our cost of operations had to increase, and also even our food from the hot kitchen we had to increase the prices drastically, which is something that we really don't want to do. But for us as a business to survive, we had to adapt to the challenge that we were facing, right? But here's the most amazing thing about it. At the height of the recession, when we screened Avatar, right? It actually surpassed, and it is, as a fact, it is the highest grossing film in Sri Lanka of all time. And this was during the height of the recession.
Right.
So it basically tells you that, entertainment is a basic need of people. And because everybody was just, I guess, fed up of suffering and thinking about problems, or,
Yeah, I guess after COVID as well,
exactly.
people, yeah.
It was one after another.
Yeah.
And so they needed a place to just escape from all of this. And it so happens that the cinema is actually one of the cheapest modes of entertainment in comparison to other forms of entertainment that are available right now in the country. And it also depends on the season. In cinemas, we do have peak time and non-peak time, blockbuster season. So we have seen, and this is such a really warm, I don't know, or funny in some way story, because during the fuel crisis, remember?
Yeah.
No one traveled,
Okay.
of course. But we were so surprised. This was during Top Gun. There's the
Okay.
release of Top Gun. Elvis was there, and then Doctor Strange was also released at that time. There were a lot of people in the cinema,
Okay.
and so we were like, how are they
Yeah.
coming? Like, thank you so much for being here, because we also need to survive. But how is this possible? So apparently, one of them told us that they had carpooled.
Oh.
Because they
Just to come and watch a
Correct.
movie. Okay.
Yeah. So the cinema industry right now, we're seeing an upward trend.
But during that period, were y'all hit by numbers? I mean, during the
Yes,
fuel
of course.
crisis, of course.
It was,
Yeah.
yes. I mean, we were even expecting people not to come at all.
Okay.
But surprisingly, thank you. I mean, for Doctor Strange and Top Gun, we were selling the tickets really fast. They just really wanted to watch Tom Cruise, I guess,
Yeah.
or Doctor Strange in the big screen.
Fuel crisis or whatever it is.
We
you just come in.
we will,
Yeah.
because this is the only time for us to be able to just relax and have fun and not think about anything else, just
Yeah.
for that few hours,
Right.
So I mean, we're glad to be that kind of escape for everyone. But yes, definitely we're seeing an upward trend, and we are looking at a very bright cinema industry future, to be honest. With
Yeah.
how things are going right now. I mean,
Okay.
this is probably a recovery period for us, and next year, hopefully, you will just go out with a big bang.
Okay.
So we're very, very hopeful.
So a lot of people seem to be watching Netflix these days. You go around Colombo, they talk about all the programs that are on Netflix, the movies that are being shown on Netflix. And then, of course, people are also downloading movies using
Yes.
illegal means. Yes.
Yes.
I mean, you spoke about Avatar. Avatar is also online these days.
Uh huh.
Uh-huh. So
We know it.
Yeah. So, but Has that affected the local cinema industry? I mean, you know, do you see people switching more now to Netflix and online movies as opposed to, you know, wanting to come and sit back and enjoy at a cinema?
I mean, of course, everyone knows that the streaming platforms peaked during the pandemic.
Right.
However, we actually did not get affected by it as much as we thought that we would, because the numbers speak for itself, especially during box office season when big movies are out. Our cinemas are full. And we also do this. I mean, we understand the fact that it's different when you watch a movie at home in comparison to watching it in the cinemas. Cinema is an experience. Like what we always say, as a cinema, our product is not the movie, but it is the experience. You know, like the kind of feeling, especially after COVID, the lockdown and the fuel prices, everyone just wanted to get out of the house. You know, it's a form of bonding for families and friends, and we do not see streaming platforms as a competitor.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, we see it as a complementary, you know, platform for just in case, you know, there are some content that we can't bring down. Maybe people can watch it in other forms, you know. But it did not affect us, and we don't see it affecting us in the near future as well. Primarily because cinemas can invest in technologies. Netflix can't. You can't get that same experience at home.
Some people, I guess, still prefer to stay home and relax and watch, you know, in their own time.
Yes.
You know, as opposed to.
But then there are also times when you want to go out and you know, just cheer with your friends.
Yeah.
And it's a different experience in the cinema. You have your popcorn freshly made, and you have your food, and then you have other people, and then you can critique other people on their behavior inside the cinema.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you know, there's that too. Yeah.
The cinemas itself, some people tend to say that in Sri Lanka that, you know, we're still behind, you know, when it comes to the facilities, the technology that we use. We do see vast improvement, especially after Scope came in and, you know, your competitors as well. But are we still behind?
No, we're not.
Okay.
There are some technologies that we are yet to acquire, but as of the moment, we are on par with international standards in terms of technology. One is Dolby Atmos. We have it here in Sri Lanka, proper Dolby Atmos. Actually, we have two Dolby Atmos cinemas in Sri Lanka, one in Kandy and one in Colombo, that being us. And 4K projection screen, that's there. And of course, we are bringing down IMAX, hopefully this year. So we are, in terms of technology, we're there. There are other platforms or large formats that, you know, that we don't have in the country yet, but this is a growing industry, you know. So as we grow, we acquire more and more technologies. But right now, we're there. Experience-wise, not just technology, but also even content. You know, during the crisis, I mean, every crisis, you actually treat it as an opportunity for you to be able to create something new. And so with management's new strategies, we were able to, you know, just assess and evaluate what are the cinemas around the world doing. They're screening different formats, different content, types of content. So they're not just screening movies anymore. They're concerts, operas, you know, plays. And so we were like, hey, you know what? Sri Lanka needs this kind of entertainment too. So Scope Cinemas as a brand, we actually reached out and we're like, please help us. We're an emerging market. We really need your help. Our people need, you know, all the entertainment that we can get. And we don't want, you know, the Sri Lankans to be like, hey, how come this country is able to do it? How come not here? You know, so we wanted to bridge the gap, and just not just because of technology, but also this types of content coming in the country. That's why we can say we are there. We're not behind.
Okay.
You know?
I guess it's a fast for some people to say that, you know, we are still behind in everything, whereas even though we are progressing, that's not recognized often.
I mean, you just have to, it depends on your perspective really and how you see things. I mean, in comparison to how cinemas was in Sri Lanka before, we can't even screen or release movies on the release dates. Can you imagine that? But now we're doing
Oh, yeah,
advanced
yeah,
screenings and
yeah.
premieres.
Yeah, most often a movie is released like 1 year after it's released in
Exactly.
Hollywood or the US.
Yes, but where are we now?
Yeah.
We're far ahead now. So I think that's something optimistic, that
Right.
we can actually feel. And no, we're not behind.
Now, the other concern that comes up is from local producers. They say that their movies don't get enough airtime or space in the major cinemas. Is it because Hollywood movies bring in more money, Bollywood movies bring in more money?
Irrespective of the language or where the content came from, Hollywood, Bollywood, local, Tamil, okay, content is key. So if a movie is doing well, it's because the content itself is really good. We give the same opportunities to all types of films, regardless where it's coming from. As a matter of fact, quality, really good Sri Lankan films made a lot of money. Say, for example, the movies Gajah Man and Tsunami. It's made a lot of money.
Okay.
And this year we released Gadi. I mean, it was a late release, but a lot of people went out to see it. There were even screenings for students. So it really boils down to the quality of the content, right? There are so many great stories here in Sri Lanka that we can share, and I guess they often ask us how can us as a cinema help out in improving the quality of movies that are coming out in local industry. I mean, first of all, we have been a pillar, like a support structure to all the local films here in Sri Lanka. If they want us to do, they want to host screenings and premieres of their movies, we give them all of our support.
Okay.
Like media gather at the cinema, they do a screening for media and screening for the public. We give them all of our support, right? We are looking at, maybe we can help in a way where we can help teach, because there's no avenue right now in Sri Lanka where, especially for budding directors, movie
Right.
producers, and
Yeah.
movie writers, there's no avenue for them to learn. So we're hoping to explore that area in the future, and that's one thing that we really believe we need to teach for them to know what to do. Right? We can't just criticize and not give a solution. So teaching and learning, that's one of the solutions that we can come up with.
Okay.
And we'd really love to help the local industry, but it really boils down to the quality,
quality
of the
of the
movie.
content.
Yeah, I mean, it's not us. The numbers can tell you. It's really the people.
Right.
And as a business, if there are no numbers, then we'll have to replace it with something that'll help us stay afloat.
Yeah, the bottom line is you all are a business as
Yes.
well, so you
correct.
need revenue.
Yeah.
But is it expensive to bring down a Hollywood movie? I mean, when it's released, I guess you can't go into the nitty-gritties, the details of the costs and the process of getting one down. But then I mean, you'll get a movie and you'll screen a movie sometimes even before it's screened in Hollywood, right?
Here's the thing, okay, and I'm glad that you asked that question, because this is the perfect time to address that. Cinemas are exhibitors, right? We don't import films. So films, Hollywood, Bollywood, Tamil, are imported by local distributors, and there are a number of local distributors here in the country. It just so happens that the Hollywood distributors for movies, actually are owners of Scope Cinemas. So
Okay.
we that gives us an edge over our competition, really, because we can access and make some requests from Hollywood studios, but we don't import the movies.
Okay.
They import it and then offer it to all cinemas.
Okay.
Yes. But each cinema, of course, they have their different marketing strategies. That's why the experience that you get from cinema to cinema is very different.
Okay.
And that's why I say our product is not the movies, because we all get the same
experience,
movies.
right.
It is the experience.
Okay. So now, when it comes to families going out and enjoying the movie experience, most people would go out, I guess, on weekends and holidays, right? But Sri Lanka doesn't allow screening of movies on Poya days. How do you see that? I mean, is that something that y'all would like to see change?
it would make sense for us because one of our multiplex is actually housed in a mall,
Yeah.
and malls open also on Poya days. I mean, cinema is a place for families, really, and we would like to be given the opportunity to be able to offer the cinema experience non-stop, and also on days that malls are open, you know. So that would be great.
So what plans does Scope have? I mean, we were talking about Scope being more about the experience. What more can Scope and maybe even other cinemas try to give Sri Lankan moviegoers?
First and foremost, please asking for all operators, cinema operators, don't be afraid to invest, because we're doing this for the people, and we have to be able to give them the kind of experience that they deserve and that they want. What at Scope Cinemas, we want to bring the world to Sri Lanka, because to be honest with you, there are actually a lot of people who are traveling abroad just to be able to watch movies on IMAX or these other large formats. It just so happens that Scope Cinemas is bringing down IMAX. We'll be opening a new multiplex soon, and that's going to add to this, you know, the cinema experience that Sri Lankans will get, and that is just the beginning, right? So bringing down new technologies, creating multiplexes that that are on par with in terms of ambience and design, even the seats and the carpets and the food that'll match the international standards, right? Because we have a lot of talented people here. It's like, to be honest with you, a lot of untapped potential, and we'd like to be able to give them this opportunity. So that's why at Scope Cinemas, we are also planning to branch out and go out of Colombo. We already have our first out of Colombo cinema. That's Kiribat
Kiribat, yeah.
And we're looking at other key locations as well, so that we can also provide employment to, you know, those far-flung areas.
Okay.
And you know, for some of our patrons to say, like, because some of our patrons actually say, please, it's Colombo is too far, but I really want to watch a movie at Scope Cinema. So, you know, we hear you. So that's part of it. And of course, more premieres, more merchandise, you know, fan screenings, double feature films, those things that we see other countries do, that's what we're striving to bring down here. And as a matter of fact, for the first time ever in Sri Lanka, we screened concerts. BTS was the first one. Everyone got crazy. They just went crazy over it. Coldplay was next, and everyone was very supportive. And then now, of course, Royal Opera House. So we'll be screening operas and ballets that were performed in London. Okay. So, I mean, there is actually a demand for new content, and that is a worldwide trend right now. And us, Scope Cinemas as a brand, we are trying to bring all of these experiences down for the Sri Lankans, so you don't have to go anywhere else.
Would it be too much to ask some of these Hollywood stars to actually come?
Oh, we're working on that, but Sri Lanka has to show numbers, though.
Right.
So that's why we're putting together strategies, marketings, and promotions just to, you know, encourage people to watch movies at the cinemas. Because for a small market, we are actually doing very well right now. Okay. So we're on our way there, you know, but we also need everyone's support, because we can't just request. We need to be able to back it up with data and numbers, but you'll never know. I mean, nobody thought that we'd be bringing down IMAX.
Right.
You know, so anything is possible, really.
Fingers crossed. So it was great talking to you. Thank you, Chassy, for coming and being on our program today.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I had so much fun.
My pleasure. That's all the time we have for you for Let's Talk for this week. Until next time, stay safe.